Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis. It's time for an edition of What the Fugue, where I talk about what's going on with me in my world of comics. How's it going, everybody? Pretty good for me. It's Comic Book Wednesday. Of course, I don't get my comic books today. But I hear that in the Bat books now, we are officially getting recognition for Bill Finger. So that is pretty great. Not that Bob Kane didn't contribute to Batman 2. Bob Kane certainly did. But I think that Bill Finger's probably more responsible for the things that we love most about and envision about Batman. So that's cool for that to finally happen. That's one of those kind of things that, you know, probably if I'd have been a little more cerebral as a kid, I would have thought never was going to happen. You know, that there would never be credit there. You know, kind of a thing. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. What else? I'm trying to think. I had a list of things, and of course I didn't actually have a list of things, and so now I'm trying to remember what those are. Oh yeah, Rebels, the book Rebels. Last week on Comic Book Roundtable, we were talking about Rebels. Some people in the comments had commented on the fact that, like, issue 10 was the final issue in the back matter. It talked about that, and there was some concern around that, and some guesses as to what was really going on there. So the next day, I went to the source. I sent a tweet to Brian Wood and said, hey, back matter says, final issue, it looks like issue 10. Is that accurate? Are we going to see more? What's going on? And he said, yeah, that issue 10 was going to be the final issue for now, and then later on in 2000, towards the end of 2016, they would probably be producing some more, which is about right for Dark Horse's business model on a lot of their books. Very few of their books actually are ongoings. Like BPRD is about the only thing that actually operates as an honest-to-God ongoing. Most other books get put out in like little mini-series that all go together as an ongoing. Like the Baltimore books, for instance, the Lobster Johnson books are that way. Lots of those kinds of books are, work out in that way. So, that makes sense from how Dark Horse produces things. So, no concern from me. Excited to read the next, there's like 2 more storylines coming up before the book takes its hiatus for how long that's going to be. But looking forward to when that comes back, because I've just really really enjoyed it. So anyway, that excuse me, that clears up that whole thing around that. Found out today. Is it today? I think it was today. Found out today that we're going to end up with a new artist on the comic Wolf, which came out today, which I'm sure we'll be talking about the Comic Book Roundtable also, because a lot of people who come on the show read Wolf. After issue 4, new artist, the artist that's currently on the book, was trying to do the comic book while doing another full-time gig as a freelance artist. Thought he could do both things, and clearly once he got into it, realized that he wasn't able to do that. He just got his first check. He first got his first paycheck off of Wolf, and we're on issue 4. Give you another idea of exactly kind of how the Image model works as far as how you get paid. So clearly he put in, probably at least 6 months worth of work, which would be a full-time gig on top of his other full-time gig, and didn't get paid for it for 6 months. So, yeah, that's kind of tough. But anyway, that'll be interesting. I guess Wolf, I'll talk about that at Comic Book Roundtable. So you better tune into Comic Book Roundtable to kind of get the scoop on what is going forward with Wolf. Comic Book Roundtable on Saturdays, as per usual, 6:30 Pacific time, 9:30 Eastern time. Should be a good time. Being quite a few people on, talk about lots of books, and have a good time doing that. So, I encourage you to tune in. We're trying to keep up with the comments as best we can. They've pretty much broken the comment thing as far as me being able to watch it literally as it's happening, kind of a thing. I have no idea if they're ever going to fix it, but right now it kind of is what it is. We get the comments. I try to, anybody who's familiar with the comic book room table, we kind of do it in sections. We do a DC section, a Marvel section, and everybody else kind of a section. And when we get to the end of that section, I try to see, check my emails and try and refresh the actual video to see if I can tell if any comments, and then we can kind of talk about what people are saying then as much as possible. So, encourage you to comment, talk to us. We like, hearing from you other guys out there and whatnot. So that's great. That's part of what the show's about. To get as many people talking about comic books as we can. Because that's why we're here, right? To enjoy our comic books and talk about them. That's why I'm here anyway. So I'm not just talking in my head to myself. Because sometimes my own opinions are kind of boring. So, at any rate, in 2 weeks it will be Halloween on Saturday. It's kind of been a tradition since Comic Book Roundtable that we, as close as possible to Halloween, we dress up on that show. Fully intend on doing that. I think I've got the most diabolical costume I could possibly think of. So looking forward to showing that off. Not this Saturday, but the Saturday after that. Should be some fun. Come and join us. Should be a blast. No requirement to dress up, but some of us will be. Any rate, what else is going on? Lots of hubbub about Sam Wilson, Captain America. I talked about it some on the roundtable, but that was before the real hubbub around it really got going. I mean, I picked the book up because I heard that it sounded like it was good, and now it's Fox News did a thing on it about how Marvel is taking Captain America and making him some liberal whack job who's attacking conservatives. I don't see it that way, but I'll be the first to admit that my political leanings tend to lean more left than right. But I find it curious that some of the people who are angry are identifying with the Sons of the Serpent, I think is what they're called. I mean, they're clearly an analog. They're clearly a mirror image of the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, without actually being that. And I think it's interesting that the people who are getting really upset and whatnot basically seemingly are self-identifying with these, pretty much rotten people. I mean, they're going to gun people down. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I don't know. I like I said, I enjoyed the book. I'm hoping to do another video where I talk about last week's comics, and I'll talk about there too. I thought it was a good book. I think it's an interesting book. Outside of the heavy level of politics that you may inject into the book, I really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be interesting to see, it's not simply Sam Wilson just being Captain America, which is kind of what what little bit I caught of the last time it started up, him as Captain America. He was just trying to go on being Captain America. Whereas now it's like, okay, it seems to me like the story is going to be, this is how Steve Rogers was Captain America. How am I going to be Captain America? Because I can't operate the same way that Steve did. I don't have the same rapport. I don't have the same history, and all of that stuff to deal with things the same way. So to me, that's interesting. But clearly a lot of excitement around the book. I'm assuming the book is selling a lot better now because people had to go out and buy it. Unless, of course, these people were torrenting it or something, stealing it to read it, to complain about it. If they read it at all, that's the other side to it. They just took what little bits they found on the internet and then made their own opinions as opposed to reading it. That's kind of a shame too. But anyway, I've been enjoying it. I thought it was pretty cool. I don't think there's a whole lot else for me to talk about as far as what's going on this week of comics. This week coming up, that I'll be talking about on Saturday with people on the round table. I think I've got 4 number ones. So that'll be interesting. Clearly, some of those number ones are Marvel books. So clearly I'm, moving into more Marvel titles and whatnot, which is cool. I'm looking forward to that. Looks like there's going to be some cool stuff. So excited to read some good books. I don't care where they come from. So, and one thing I want to talk about, and I'm sure I'll talk about it on the round table too, but hey, I might as well repeat myself in two places. I'm hearing that, Secret Wars, as far as the Marvel event goes, as it gets stretched later and later, and they add issues to it. The books that are coming out are starting to spoil what happens in Secret Wars. I'm looking forward to talking to the guys on Roundtable who collected Weird World, because I'm hearing from people like Ghost Critic, it sounds to me like that it really screws up your reading of Secret Wars. That it really kind of tells you a lot of stuff, which that's a bummer. To me, that's poor editing somewhere along the way and poor production to not get that, make sure that stuff was squared away. You would think if you were doing an event book that was literally changing your entire universe and everything in it, that you would make sure that it was on point the entire time and that it was coming out when it was supposed to, so everything else around it could come out when it was supposed to and not affect the story. We as consumers are spending a lot of money. We're the ones that are propping these companies up, with these events and stuff. And for them to not be able to ensure that it's put out in a timely fashion, or delay everything else, delay the entire rest of the Marvel Universe line to make sure that we're getting the most out of our story. It would be like me going and reading every plot synopsis before sitting down and watching any episode of my favorite TV show. It wrecks the show, and it kind of wrecks the book. It sucks the thunder out of the book. It sucks the surprises out. There's even, I think some of us even agree that just looking at solicitations can sometimes wreck a story for you if you don't know what's going on. And you're looking at solicitations that are 2 or 3 months in advance. I mean, solicitations are out right now, like this week, for January books. You start looking at those January books, that's 3 months from now. A lot can happen in 3 issues of a comic book. If the solicitation says after, Daredevil, survives being stabbed in the head by Bullseye, and Bullseye isn't even in the Daredevil book yet, it wrecks something for you. So, come on. I know they can't fix solicitations because they have to sell the book, and the solicitations are there as much for the retailers who are buying the books to decide what they're going to put on their shelves as much as anything, because those people need to have foreknowledge to figure out how they're going to sell what they're going to sell. But as far as this event stuff goes, I think that's heresy. I mean, I just think it's wrong to be wrecking your big event book that's supposed to change your entire universe by spoiling it in other books. It's a shame. It's a shame. Anyway, that's my shame on you Marvel thing. And that's it. I'll keep this relatively short. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for talking. What's going on in your week of comics? Anything out there that we should be talking about, or I should bring up on the roundtable to talk about, or whatever? Let me know. That's what the comments are for. Anyway, have a great one, everybody, and I'll see you on the weekend.